Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm just so happy to have this opportunity for two reasons. Number one, thank you for the beautiful birthday wishes. When I saw all you chime in another year just to say happy birthday, Vanessa, happy birthday, friend, happy birthday, family, you just don't know. It took everything in me to fight the tears back. So I want to say thank you for that. And then I'm dropping this link to also say you know who I am. For those who don't, you better know me as probably as Apostle Vanessa Ward and recently married Bemis, my husband. Right here, Connie, could you wave to him so they'll know that you're the one, you're the man. Thank you, sweetheart. And I'm born right here in Omaha, Nebraska. I've always loved being in the heartland of the United States of America because I believe how goes the heart, how goes the country. And we are in a place where we need solutions. Our younger generation, right here, because you waved to me, baby. This is my granddaughter.
Hi, guys.
And she will be the one that God has showed me should be the hostess. I think when we understand how to get behind our young people and listen to them and understand their plight, and then match it with our elderly wisdom, and then we come to that place which I call a kiss, and that's kindness, if shared, spreads. I'm hoping that we can bring that kind of inspiration, not just to the family, but also the community, your jobs, organizations. We have got to be intentional about listening to one another because together we're unstoppable. So I'm glad you joined us. At the same time, I was talking to my granddaughter because a lot of words in my time and then my husband's time, I hope you can agree, baby, that they're not the same anymore. I could be talking about one thing and they talking about something else. I'm kind of like, okay, how we do this. And then I'm giving my granddaughter a chance to say how she views us as elderly sometime. And then it's just going to be very transparent. And as we move forward from episode to episode, we're going to make space because we need to hear from you. Because if we're not listening to what you're facing and seeking solutions together, then it's just a waste of time being on here. So I just want to say it once again. Thank you again for the happy birthday wishes. Come on, click it on the link, and then let us work it out together about how to bring these generations, young, old, black, white, rich, poor, how do we bring all these generations together to have a solution that works at every single time. All right, with that being said, I'm going to defer to my granddaughter so she can introduce you formally with her name, okay?
Okay. Hi guys. My name is Domani Curly Graves, but I go by Doe or Pinky or I go by a lot of names.
Sissy, you got a lot of
I have a lot of
names.
names. So today we are just gonna introduce ourselves and like what are we gonna be looking forward to on this podcast or on this channel. What are we gonna looking forward to, Grandma?
I think so. And I think a lot of times too, what I'm finding out too is we don't know how we are categorized according to what generation, boom, boom. So granddaughter will be deferring to us, helping us to understand how these generations break down. Okay, at the same time, before she begins, I want to make sure my husband understands that when she does your generation, and everybody, please don't be ashamed of what year you were born. Age is nothing but a number. So when she hits your generation, honey, I want you to maybe speculate a little bit as to why do you think they called your generation this? Okay. So when you're ready, baby, go ahead and start.
So we're gonna start off strong with the greatest generation, and those are the people who are born between 1901 to 1924. And they call that generation the greatest generation because hold on, I lost my
That's okay. Take your
bookmark.
time, baby. The greatest generation. And what was that first year, did you say, baby?
That is 1901 to 1924.
I wonder if I was to do my math really quick. I wonder if I know anybody that's still alive from that generation. I wonder if that makes them about 95.
Forgot.
Okay, don't worry. Take your
Okay,
time.
I'm getting it back.
Okay. So as you know, as I'm looking at that, because I know it seems like nowadays we're living longer. Does that make sense? Yeah. As a result of that,
Okay, yeah. So the first generation we're gonna start off strong with. camera be going off.
Go ahead, baby.
Was Be the Greatest Generation. That was the Jesus. I keep losing. Lord
That's what
Jesus.
always happens. I'm telling you, anytime you're on a positive route, please expect this. Anything that can go wrong will, but don't let that discourage you. So if you know the list without the ages right now, you
Oh,
could.
got it.
Okay,
Found it, guys.
all right, here we go.
Okay. The Greatest Generation is born between 1901 to 1924. They call that the Greatest Generation because that was like the first generation, like the first one that they started
Name.
tallying it up and naming it.
Okay, and what do they say?
They also call that sort of the Lost Generation because that's where those are like the survivors of World War II.
One,
I think it was two.
two.
Two or one. I don't
We'll
know.
do the math. We'll do the math.
But they were in the World War. And then next, we have the Silent Generation, which is born between 1925 and 1945.
Okay, sweetheart, we're going to defer to you since we have a present silent generation. With your birthday being 1940.
40.
Okay, 1940. Which makes you how old, baby?
I am 84.
84. Come on, we're glad you in the house. Okay, sweetheart, why do you think they refer to your generation as the silent generation?
Well, because I guess we were silent, didn't have the voice to reach out and speak individual too much about anything. We just took things as they were at that time and moment.
Question. Do you think that's true now that you've matured through these generations? You think now you'd stay silent?
No, we don't. We speak out. We speak out.
Thank you, sweetheart. Next generation.
The baby boomers. Those are the ones be born between 1946 and 1964.
That would be me. I'm 1943. Y'all know I just had a 72-year birthday. So that would be me. Why did they call us the baby boomers?
Because y'all are like right under silent generation, y'all like the babies. So like let me think. So for you when Martin Luther King was going through, you were like 10 years old.
Yes, close
Yeah,
enough.
that's what it's like the baby, like y'all just coming out, but y'all still kind of young.
And then the boomers, I always thought, this is me, just to speculate. I didn't know. I knew that it was a generation called that. I always thought it was because everybody was having babies. I always thought we hit hard. I thought I thought there was a whole big push, a whole bunch of babies. That's why they call them the baby. That's me. I didn't know, but I'm just saying that's why it's so important to communicate and get understanding.
Okay, next we have Generation X, and those are called, those are born between 1965 to 1975. So I know a lot of Generation X. Those are like my aunties, uncles. Those are like the ones who were born with, what's that one guy name? MC Hammer. I think.
Okay, good.
I
Like
gotta.
we'll do more research,
Yeah.
and then when we get into our episode, please hit the chat so we can learn from you also.
Yeah, like I think that's where the MC Hammer came from.
Okay. All right. So tell us why did they call them Generation X?
Because Generation X is like the first letter, not letter, but like the first like popping in there, like first young people. They're not old, but they also not babies type.
You know, X in my time, Phil, do you remember that baby? They would say X marks the spot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. That was many years ago.
I mean, we got to keep teaching. So what did they say the definition of why they call them X?
I don't have it.
Oh, that's okay. It'll come back.
That's why I said I lost all my definitions.
Don't worry. Don't worry about it. We're just going to flow. And then by the next episode, we'll fill in a little bit more about why you are considered a certain generation.
Now we have millennials, which is 1980 to 1994, which is my mom.
1994.
Yeah, that's a millennial. They call the millennials a lost generation because they are really confused. I mean,
that's what they say.
They're now in 2025.
Yeah,
you have children having babies at like 18, 19, which is still kind of Gen Z, but at the same time it's not. So it's like you're giving multiple generations in one, and you have children. So it's like that's where they call the loss, because millennials is like 30, 29.
I know it. I know exactly. I have children that are Generation X. Phil, listen to those dates. Generation X. And when your mommy came, I was dang near 40 when I had her. So that put her as a millennial.
Mhm.
Got it? So it can be very difficult trying to find your way when we come from such different times, but not impossible. Go ahead, baby.
Then we have Gen Z, which is me, which is born between 1995 to 2010. I'm 15 years old, so I was born in 2010.
Okay, so when I look, cause so I'm just trying to give a synopsis of what we have here today. We have the silent generation with my husband.
Hmm.
We have the Gen what?
Z.
Z.
They call us Z because Zoomers. We be zooming. We're so high tech.
Hi.
Like,
And it could be Zoom for another reason too. Your
like we're
mind,
fast.
yeah, you
Yeah.
just get stuff fast, and then you really
So
may
you're
not.
called a boomer and we're called a zoomer.
Okay.
Because boomers is, yeah.
Okay. Okay. We'll go process it next.
And then we have Generation Alpha, which is 2011 to
2011.
2025. So from 2011 to this year. So that's basically from like 11-year-old, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 11, under 11, I think that's the age.
And that's called what? Alpha.
Yeah, alpha.
Alpha always means
Like
a new beginning or
new
first.
beginning, head of the beginnings, like
Oh Lord,
which
that's
yeah,
interesting.
alpha. So if someone was to have a baby now in 2025, they're the new beginning of the new generation because there's the just like we started with the greatest gen, that's the first generation that they started with.
Okay.
Gen Alpha is the first generation they're going to be starting with the next 10, 20 years. So they're not going to date all the way back to gen. They're not going to date all the way back to the greatest gen because they're like long gone.
Mm.
So
You hear that, Phil? You gone? You gone?
I don't want to say that, but
I mean, really, that's what that
yeah,
implies. If
so
you're
like
gone, you gone.
Gen Alpha is gonna be the new gen, greatest gen, the new
Okay.
silent gen, because those are the in the next 10, 20 years, they're gonna be the new like first generation. That's why they
Okay.
call it alpha.
Okay.
Then we have generation beta, which that is from 2026 to 2039.
So is it Generation Beta the title or is it beta?
Beta, generation beta, doesn't matter, it's the title.
It kind of does because if you're looking at alpha, that starts with A, beta starts with B. Maybe there's a system even behind that.
Well, beta is under alpha.
Mm-hmm. I got
It's
it.
like
Or
second,
following
secondary. Yeah.
B, A, B, C.
Yeah, like president and vice president.
Okay.
That's what beta and alpha is.
Got it.
So since beta is gonna be like babies next year.
Next
Not
year.
this year. Not this year, next year.
Be
So
26?
yes, so it's
2026?
yes.
2026?
Yes.
Okay.
So if someone was pregnant right now and they're having their baby about January or next year,
They'll be beta.
their baby's gonna be beta.
Is there a generation following this that is listed?
Following beta?
Yeah.
Nope. That's all the way from 2026 to 2039.
I mean, that's enough to ponder.
That's a lot of generate. That right there, we got about 7. Wait, let me think. Let me see.
Thank you.
We have about 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have about 8 generations.
Because there's people living longer. They're living to be 100. I know a lady that's 95. She just had her birthday. 95, had her church dress on, ready to go. I'm just saying now is the time that if we intentionally go in, no matter what generation, no matter what race, no matter what culture, no matter what demographic, and we listen and learn from one another, I think it's going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be so powerful. We'll see some real differences. But go ahead, baby.
And I'm probably gonna put all the generations probably right here, right here. I don't know. I'm gonna edit it. And I'll put it up like
okay.
A list so
okay, so everybody can see
in.
for themselves where they at.
Yes.
Okay, can I ask you? Let me think of what your name is again. Don't tell me. Who is she? A Zoomer?
Yes, I'm a Zoomer, Gen Z.
Gen Z. Oh Lord.
She
Okay.
said, let me think who she is.
Yeah.
Who is she?
A Zoomer. I already know Phil's a silent. But he said he's ready to speak up now. So we'll get a chance to see how that works, everybody.
Yeah, so we have the boomer, the Zoomer, and the silent. For this episode, we're gonna have a lot more generations in other episodes. So stay tuned, guys.
That's right. And if you're interested in being a guest, please don't go ahead and let us know that you would like to be, part of representing and listening. I do want to add this before I say anything more. We are solution driven, meaning we're going to be at this because we want to see answers. You know, sometimes you're dealing with that generation, and Pinky, want to talk to that a little bit about how mom and dad don't understand, and it's
I,
hard to get them to understand.
a lot of people's generation, I mean, a lot of people's parents and Gen Z or parents are going to be millennials and Gen X. Yeah. So millennials and Gen X. So that's like 40, 30, 20. I don't want to say 20, probably like 29, 28. Those are a lot of people's parents in Gen X, I mean, in Gen Z. So the millennial and Gen X are in a confusing category because they are so young that they're not a silent gen and they're not a boomer. They're not even really close to being a boomer. Like my mom is about 20, 30 years away from grandma. No,
Mm-hmm.
that's like 50, probably
Almost.
50 years away from grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not old, but they're also not young because they're like about 20 years young, older than their children. So they are in the category where they don't know where to fit in. Where do they go? Do they make their own category or do they fit in with some? Like some people's parents act like their grandma, or some people's
Mm-hmm.
parents act like their children.
Oh,
So
well, yeah.
they are a lot of people's parents, like in my age, are very confused on where they need to be, and they only get to that time frame where they are finding who they are about 50, 40, or about the end of their midlife, basically their midlife crisis.
Okay. All right. So, can I defer to you, honey? You know, as we have aged, we're now grandparents and great grandparents. Question is, how do we find our balance with speaking to the other generations, whether they're Zoomers, millennials, or, even little tots? Where do you find out our struggle comes in?
Well, our struggle is pretty hard to find with the generation today. Like Pinky's generation is coming is mostly in the electronic field,
Yeah, true.
and our generation has been mostly labor and a different type
Yes.
of feeling and success in the world. But the world today have changed so. And like I say, once again, my granddaughters and her generation is mostly in the electronic field. And they are wonderful with computers, telephones, and different things, all confused with electronics, which we didn't have during my time.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are growing into something that we're handling and we really don't know how to handle it, most of us. We just deal with it. So
Yes, and thank God with the communication that we're targeting in on to say that together we could do some great things. But if we don't feel appreciated, if we don't feel listened to, if we don't feel like it makes a difference, why even try? And then that's wonderful, wonderful news or things that can be shared that can make a difference. So I'm excited about this. I didn't mention when we started that the name of the podcast is
The choice is yours.
The Choice is Yours. We want you to be able to weigh for yourself whether you feel like this is working. Oh, excuse me, baby. Whether you feel like it's not working. We've got to make some choices that are better. Other than that, we could just lose a whole generation. And we don't want that.
And it doesn't matter if some people be like, "Oh, I don't want to tell my age," or "My generation is better than this generation."
Mm-hmm.
We're all coming on here to understand
Yes.
from a different generational point.
Yes.
So, like, I'll probably bring up a scenario and I'll ask y'all from my standpoint, I would say this person's in the wrong, and then from a grandmother or from a mother, they'll be like, "Oh, that person's in the wrong," and we're going to have a conversation to understand and what we could have, or if we were in that situation, what would we have done to make it
Better.
or
Mm-hmm. Or, mm-hmm.
succeed.
Let me give one real quick scenario.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have that I run into all the time is that we, as older people, don't appreciate millennials or anybody younger than us telling us that we need to quit driving,
Mm-hmm.
or we need to move in with them, or we need to, okay, it could be very true that our medical background or some of the challenges that you're witnessing could be very true that this is what we need to do. All right, let me flip the coin. Then you have your generation and older. We're looking at like, we don't listen. Nobody can't tell us nothing. We want to do everything ourselves. Okay, I hear the scenario. Got it. However, what I like to recommend is this: older generation, we have been taught that what you do for your mama, your daddy, and your elders, it will come back to you. Some 60, some 30, some hundredfold. God will bless your socks off. So if we want our children to be blessed after we gone, then we've got to let them do more for us.
Mm-hmm.
That will live beyond us, the blessing they'll get for doing. Then with the younger generation, I try to say to this: don't push us too hard, because you don't want to take away our will to want to live. You take this, you take that, you take this. Next thing you know, you'll find us feeling like, what's the use? So it is a balance, but that balance has to be your choice.
Yeah, like what you were saying, like the younger generation, they're gonna feel like, oh, they're helping their grandma, they're helping their mom. Oh, grandma, don't go out no more. We don't want
Mm-hmm.
you falling down the stairs at
Mm-hmm.
Walmart or stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. But the whole time, grandma just wants to get out, don't want to be in the house. The house is probably suffocating her. She want to
Mm-hmm.
go out, and y'all just saying, oh no, we don't want you doing this. You're not safe. You're not safe. Happy medium would be, grandma, you want to go out? Okay,
Yeah.
let's go out together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Let's go to the mall, grandma. That
Mm-hmm.
way, that's like what the
That's what
balance.
we're going to be in search of, and we're going to need your input, as well as the special guests that we'll have from time to time. We need to hear, learn. Now, how many people know you can learn from what people do right, and you can learn from what people do wrong? That's what we're here for. And remember, dear everybody, ready to say this together? And then we'll say the choice is yours, because that's the name of the program. Y'all ready? Here we go. Okay. One, two, three. Here we go. The
The choice
choice
is
is
Yours.
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 Gotta make
Okay.
sure they said it right.
Hey,
Okay.
we'll see you on the next episode. Okay, bye. Thanks for tuning in.